Okay.
The House of Representatives will now come to order. Leading us in our prayer this afternoon is Father David Hussey of the Fort Pierre Ministerial Association, followed by our Pledge of Allegiance, led by our pages of the day, Alexander Smith of Sioux Falls and Taryn Torsney of Tyndall. Please rise.
The Lord be with you. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your presence in this house, in our hearts, and in our lives. We know, Father, that with your presence, with your power, your grace, and your love, we can accomplish all the good works that you would call us to do. And that without you, we can do nothing. So, Lord, we just pray that you would bless this house this day, bless all who are in it, keep them safe as they travel home this weekend to be back in their communities and with their families. We ask these things all in Jesus' name. Amen.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The clerk will please call the roll.
Representatives Andera, Arlen, Auk, Alward, Baumüller, Bathke, Baxter, Sismowski, DeGroot, Derby, Duffy, Emery, Fitzgerald, Fosness, Garcia, Goodwin, Gosh, Greenfield, Helverson, Healy, Heerman, Heineman, Hughes, Hunt, Ismay, Jameson, Jensen, Jordan, Jorgensen, Casson, Kaiser, Colbeck, Call, Ladner, Lems, Manhart, Massey, May, Moore, Mortensen, Muckey, Mullally, Mulder, Knowles, Norstrup, Odenbach, Overweg, Peterson, Poyer, Randolph, Rayfeld, Reimer, Reich, Rice, Roby, Rowe, Schaefbauer, Schwanz, Shorma, Schubeck, Sharda, Soy, Stevens, Uribalk, Van Diepen, Wahlberg, Weems, Weisgram, Whitman, Speaker Hansen.
Here.
Mr. Speaker, there is a quorum.
Thank you. Representative Norstrup.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We're going to do the House page resolution today. And before we start, I'm going to try to share a little bit of wisdom and a little bit of gratitude. This group of pages are one of the very best of the best. One of the reasons it's one of the best is my grandson, Andrew's in it. And I had a great 2 weeks with him and really enjoyed the experience. But the one thing I want to compliment, a lot of things I want to compliment this page group on. Number one is their willingness to be friendly, to reach out, introduce themselves. One of the other things that they've done that is exceptional is they've stepped outside their comfort zone. Just by being here, they've stepped outside their comfort zone, and there's a reward for that. The other thing is, the advice I would give them is live in the moment. What that means is this: don't wish for tomorrow. Live where you're at. Put down your cell phone. Enjoy the moment. One of the sayings is, you can only cross a river once, and that's true. The water's moving, you can't do that again. So this is an experience that they will only experience once. Put it in your memory. So one of the things I want to talk about also is the diversity that we have in this group. And I think they've seen this. One of the things that I've learned as a legislator is if you live in Sioux Falls, you've got a different viewpoint than if you live in Bison, South Dakota. And we need to be understanding of that. I suspect if you took a Sioux Falls legislator and moved him to Bison, South Dakota, he would start to think just like a Bison or somebody who was in that town. So anyway, the point of that was respect each other's diversity, because a lot of that diversity is caused by our different environments. So the last piece of wisdom I would give is, and this was given by Speaker of the House, Matt Michaels, many years ago. He said, what we need to do is disagree without being disagreeable. Be adversaries without being adversarial. So that's the wisdom I plan to impart to the new pages, and with that, I will read the resolution. This is a resolution expressing the appreciation and gratitude of the House of Representatives of the 101st Legislature of the state of South Dakota to the pages for this term. Whereas these pages have served loyalty for the House of Representatives of the 101st Legislative Session, and whereas the members of the 101st House of Representatives express their most sincere appreciation to these young people for their service to the state, and whereas these members extend to these young people their best wishes for every success in life. Now therefore be it resolved by the House of Representatives of the 101st Legislative Session of the state of South Dakota that a personal copy of this resolution be duly certified and furnished to each page on their last day of service, adopted by the House of Representatives February 20th, 2026. I would ask the pages to line up, preferably alphabetically so it works. And I'll read your name, and as I read your name, you'll come across and shake hands and be congratulated. Aubrey Brentlinger. Grant Cutler. Congratulations. Rainion Dacum. Andrew Fries. Hazel Houghton. Michael Johnson. Congratulations, Michael. Thank you for all you do. C.J. Moses. Congratulations. Belly Niederbaumer. Congratulations. Alexander Smith. Congratulations. You bet. Maria Stephenson. Taryn Torsney. Congratulations. Thank you. Last but not least, Ella Vandesdick. Congratulations. We just want to extend a sincere thank you for all that they've done for us over the last 2 weeks. And with that, if you'd welcome them.
Oh.
Approval of the journal.
Mr. Speaker, the Committee on Legislative Procedure respectfully reports that the Chief Clerk of the House has had under consideration the House Journal of the 24th day. All errors, typographical or otherwise, are duly marked in the temporary journal for correction. And we hereby move the adoption of the report respectfully submitted. John Hanson, Chair.
That motion having been made and seconded, any remarks? Seeing none, all those in favor of approval of the journal will signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Reports of standing committees.
Mr. Speaker, the Committee on Legislative Procedure respectfully reports that the Office of Engrossing and Enrolling has carefully compared House Bill 1018 and House Bill 1227 and finds the same correctly enrolled. Respectfully submitted, John Hanson, Chair. Mr. Speaker, the Committee on Legislative Procedure respectfully reports that House Bill 1020 was delivered to His Excellency the Governor for his approval at 11:50 a.m. February 20th, 2026. Respectfully submitted, John Hanson, Chair. Mr. Speaker, the Committee on House Military and Veterans Affairs reports that House Bill 1255 was deferred to the 41st legislative day. House Bill 1280 was amended and due pass and placed on the consent calendar. Respectfully submitted, Tim Goodwin, Chair. Mr. Speaker, the Committee on House State Affairs reports that House Bill 1230 due pass, House Bill 1237 and 1256 were tabled. House Bill 1324 was deferred to the 41st legislative day. Respectfully submitted, Scott Odenbach, Chair. Mr. Speaker, the Committee on House Education reports that House Bill 1279 be amended and be referred to the House Committee on Appropriations without recommendation. House Bill 1306 was deferred to the 41st legislative day. Respectfully submitted, Lana J. Greenfield, Chair. Mr. Speaker, the Committee on House State Affairs reports that House Bill 1161, which was recalled, House Bill 1184 and House Bill 1274 be amended and do pass. Respectfully submitted, Scott Odenbach, Chair. Mr. Speaker, the Committee on House Commerce and Energy reports that House Bill 1224 was deferred to the 41st legislative day. House Bill 1284 and 1309 were tabled. Respectfully submitted, Carla J. Lems, Chair. Mr. Speaker, the House Committee on Appropriations reports that House Bill 1205 was tabled, House Bill 1249 be amended and do pass and be placed on the consent calendar. Respectfully submitted, Mike Derby, Chair. Mr. Speaker, the Committee on House Judiciary reports that House Bill 1140 and House Bill 1300 be amended and do pass and be placed on the consent calendar. House Bill 1236, 1248, and 1276 were deferred to the 41st legislative day. Respectfully submitted, Mike Stevens, Chair.
Messages from the Senate.
Mr. Speaker, I have the honor to return herewith House Bill 1018 and 1227, which have passed the Senate without change. Also, Mr. Speaker, I have the honor to inform your honorable body that House Concurrent Resolution 6011 was lost on second reading and final passage. Also, Mr. Speaker, I have the honor to transmit herewith Senate Bill 175, which has passed the Senate, and your favorable consideration is requested. Respectfully, Peggy Lorenz, Secretary.
Motions and resolutions.
Representative Odenbach moved that House Bill 1308 be deferred to Monday, February 23rd, the 26th legislative day.
That motion having been made and seconded, are there any remarks? Seeing none, all those in favor of the Odenbach motion will signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries.
House Concurrent Resolution 6016, a concurrent resolution supporting reform of the Beef Check-Off Program. Representative Auk moved that House Concurrent Resolution 6016, as found on page 216 of the House Journal, be adopted.
The Auk motion that HCR 6016 be adopted, having been made and seconded. Remarks on your motion, Representative Auk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This House concurrent resolution is supporting the reform of the beef checkoff. The Beef Promotion and Research Act of 1985, commonly known as the Beef Checkoff, mandated a fee of $1 per head on cattle sales to fund research, promotion, and education. The United States beef imports as a percent of domestic consumption have increased from 10% in 1985 to 22% today, making the United States the second largest beef importer globally and contributing to 50% loss in cow-calf producers and 70% loss in independent feedlots. The Beef Checkoff program has been criticized for conflicts of interest, lack of transparency, and providing monies to organizations such as the National Cattlemen's Association, which supports policies that many producers view as harmful, including free trade and opposition to mandatory country of origin labeling. The checkoff structure undermines independent decision-making, with meat packers influencing checkoff matters through the National Cattlemen's Association and Federation of State Beef Councils. The South Dakota Congressional Delegation is urged to support the Bipartisan Opportunities for Fairness in Farming Act of 2025 as a step in reforming checkoff programs, including the Beef Checkoff program. We are asking for legislative support for the intent of the OFF Act to ensure transparency and accountability by prohibiting contracts with entities that influence government policy, with the exception of higher education, and preventing conflicts of interest, anti-competitive practices, and deceptive activities requiring transparent budgets, detailed contract records, and mandating periodic audits by the USDA. Future amendments to the OFF Act should prioritize promoting United States beef and cattle markets, ensuring the American First policies guide checkoff activities, and ending generic promotion. That periodic votes by producers who fund the beef checkoff should be required to ensure accountability and alignment of the program with the interests of the American farmer, rancher, and producer. Today, I am not asking you to vote on a mandate. I am asking you to send a message from this legislature to our delegation in Washington, D.C., that while the Farm Bill is being debated, the voices of cattle producers must not be overlooked. That message is simple: support the OFF Act, support mandatory country of origin labeling, and stand with the men and women who raise the highest quality beef in the world. Our producers operate in a global marketplace, yet they are all too often denied the basic transparency that lets consumers choose American-born, American-raised, and American-processed beef. MCOOL is not a trade barrier, it is the truth in labeling, and it is the free market functioning with full information. The OFF Act brings long overdue transparency and accountability to the beef checkoff, ensuring that producer dollars serve producers. If we fail to speak now, we accept a system where those who feed this nation have less voice than those who consolidate it. But if we pass this resolution, we affirm that South Dakota stands firmly behind its cattlemen and women and expects our federal delegation to do the same. Please let us send a clear message. Let us stand for transparency, for fairness, and by golly, let's stand for South Dakota and American beef. Thank you. Please do vote to adopt.
Thank you. For the remarks on HCR 6016, Representative Halverson.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. It's kind of an interesting scenario that we have here. I received 7 emails before 7 o'clock this morning. 6 of them were to vote no. 1 was to vote yes. I received a phone message from the Tripp County Republican chairman saying, vote yes. I received an email from the vice chairman of the Tripp County Republican saying, please vote no. I called a producer who sells bulls all over the United States, and he said, please vote no. So that's where we're at.
Thank you. Further remarks on HCR 6016? Any further remarks? Representative Auk in closing.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a contentious debate. Do we check off, don't check off? This is not about getting rid of the checkoff. I think there's some confusion there. And this is about, unfortunately, the Stock Growers Organization, which is heavily funded by the beef checkoff. Not the stock growers, the Cattlemen's Association, which is heavily funded by the checkoff, and the stock growers. And it's some producers against other producers. Do we label American beef, or do we fall in line with what the meat packers want us to do? So once again, I think this is about the small producer versus the big producer in some cases. But closing. For 40 years, producers have paid into the beef checkoff with the understanding that their dollars would be used to promote beef, educate consumers, strengthen markets, and while there has been good work, especially at the state level, carried out by dedicated volunteers, we cannot ignore the growing disconnect between the program's original intent and its current structure. This resolution does not end the checkoff. It does not discard the good. It does something far more responsible. It calls for modernization, transparency, and accountability so that the program once again answers to the very people who fund it. Our producers are not asking for special treatment, they are asking for fairness. They are seeking and asking for a voice. They are asking for their dollars to be not used in ways that conflict with their livelihoods or their policy priorities. They are asking that the American beef be promoted here at home with the same pride we show abroad. Supporting this resolution sends a clear message that we stand with our cattle producers, that we value stewardship and hard-earned dollars, and that we are willing to act when a program drifts from its mission. Sending a message from this legislature to our DC delegation to sign off on the OFF Act and MCOOL while the Farm Bill is still being debated. I respectfully ask you to please vote yes.
Thank you. Seeing no further remarks, the question before the House is the ALK motion that HCR 6016 be adopted. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed, nay. The clerk will unlock the voting machine and the members will proceed to vote. Representative Whitman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you. Outside of legislative session, I spend every Friday with my third grade mentee, Cynthia, and because today is our last Friday that we are in session, her and her entire class, our third grade class at Hawthorne Elementary in Sioux Falls, are all watching us right now. And so if you could all just do me a favor, stand, wave at them, and say, "Hi, Mrs. Crawford's class." I'd really appreciate it. Thank you all.
Representative Rowe.
Personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the gallery above the speaker, we have our dual county Republican chair lady, Mary Nosbush. And on behalf of Representative Jordan and myself, I'd like to welcome her to the Capitol. Please join me.
Representative Baumüller.
Personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, today I decided to wear green because it is one of my favorite days at the Capitol. It is 4-H Day. If you were a member of 4-H, I would ask that you stand up, or if you are a current member of 4-H, please stand up. Wow, that's pretty amazing. You will not understand the impact that 4-H has had on your life until years later. So thank you for coming up to the Capitol. Today I had the joy of having Madeline Lund from Parker with me, but all of these 4-H members traveled from all across the state to see us today in action, and I hope you enjoyed your time. Thank you.
Representative Roby.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you. Today I have my family here with me. I saw a friend a little bit ago as I was walking with my family, and he looked at my kids and said, you know, you're a millionaire. And I said, well, not by bank account, but I certainly am. So my wife, Stephanie, is up there. I got Griffin and Sutton up there. And then down here we have Bennett and Hannah. So please help me welcome them.
Representative Emery, Representative Fitzgerald, Representative Jordan, Mr. Speaker, all members have voted.
Clerk will please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there are ayes 32, nays 34, excused 4.
The ALK motion, having failed to receive the majority vote of members elect, is hereby declared lost.
Representative Goodwin moved that the Committee on Health and Human Services be instructed to deliver House Bill 1160 to the floor of the House pursuant to Joint Rule 7-7.
Is there a second? The Goodwin motion that the Committee on Health and Human Services be instructed to deliver House Bill 1160 to the floor, having been made and seconded. Remarks on your motion, Representative Goodwin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a motion to calendar it for next week, Monday or Tuesday. It's not to get rid of the Medical Marijuana Committee. It's just the Oversight Committee. It's been stood up for 5 years. Things are going. The committee can still function once the oversight's done.
Sorry to interrupt you. Yep. We got to stick to why it should be smoked out, not to the merits of the proposal. Thank you.
I know, Mr. Speaker, but that's really hard to do.
I know it's hard. I know it's hard.
So if you want to hear why it should happen, stand. If you don't want to, then don't stand. That good?
Perfect. Thank you. Further remarks on the Goodwin motion? Any further remarks? Seeing no further remarks, the question before the House is the Goodwin motion that the Health and Human Services Committee be instructed to deliver House Bill 1160 to the floor. That smokeout will require 1/3 of the members elected to support. To support the smokeout motion, please stand. That motion is supported. Committee on Health and Human Services will be instructed to deliver House Bill 1160 to the floor. Consideration of committee reports.
Representative Odenbach moved that the reports of the Standing Committee on State Affairs on House Bill 1278 as found on page 364 of the House Journal be adopted.
That Odenbach motion having been made and seconded, any remarks? Seeing none, all those in favor of the Odenbach motion will signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Representative Ismay moved that House Bill 1317 be placed on the calendar of Monday, February 23rd, the 26th legislative day.
That Ismay motion having been made and seconded, any remarks on your motion, Representative Ismay?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is the first time I've ever had to do this, so it's going to be interesting. So gavel me anytime you would like.
I'm ready.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Between baling hay and working cows this summer, I studied property tax history. From what I found, every time state government tries to intervene with local government concerning property
there
tax.
it comes.
There it is. Okay. Okay, if you want to hear my bill, vote yes.
Thank you. Further remarks on the ISMA motion? Representative Aylward.
Yeah, just to add to that real quick, we had this in tax committee. We went around to a few different options, so we had to come with this motion that we have before you today. I think it'd be a good one to hear on the floor, and so
Thank you.
please vote yes. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Further remarks on the ISMA motion? Any further remarks? Seeing no further remarks, the question before the House is the ISMA motion. To calendar House Bill 1317. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed, nay. The clerk will unlock the voting machine, and the members will proceed to vote.
Representative Goodwin. Goodwin votes aye. Representative Poyer. Mr. Speaker, all members have voted.
The clerk will please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there are ayes 34, nays 33, excused 3.
The ISMA motion, having failed to receive the affirmative vote of the majority of members elect, is hereby declared lost. First reading of Senate bills.
Senate Bill 175, require that an individual provide proof of citizenship when registering to vote and to declare an emergency.
Speaker assigns to House State Affairs, Senate Bill 111 and Senate Bill 175. Second reading of consent calendar items.
Representative Jordan requested that Senate Bill 26 be removed from the consent calendar. Representative Emery requested that Senate Bill 71 be removed from the consent calendar. Senate Bill 27 revised the description of certain highways included in the state trunk highway system.
Thank you. Just to call the members' attention to the fact that, earlier we talked about having the bills removed from consent calendar. There was one bill, which is Senate Bill 27, and that bill was ultimately not removed from the consent calendar, and that's why we have Senate Bill 27 on the consent calendar. Everybody good with that? Okay, consent calendar items, having had their second reading, are up for consideration and final passage. Consent calendar items are bills and resolutions that have been reported out of committee with no negative votes and certified as uncontested. If any member objects to the placement or retention of any item on the consent calendar, the item must be removed from the consent calendar and placed on the House calendar for debate. Items on the consent calendar are not debatable, but questions may be asked. Are there any questions? Any questions? Seeing none, then the question before the House is final passage of the item on the consent calendar. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed, nay. The clerk will unlock the voting machine, and the members will proceed to vote. Representative Reich.
Personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today it's my distinct honor to recognize and welcome members of the South Dakota wing of the Civil Air Patrol to our State House. The Civil Air Patrol serves as the official civilian auxiliary of the United States Air Force. For more than 80 years, its volunteers have dedicated themselves to serving communities through emergency response, aerospace education, and cadet leadership development. Their commitment reflects the very best of our state, selflessness, professionalism, and a willingness to serve when called. On behalf of this body, please stand up, Civil Air Patrol. Let's welcome them to the House.
Representative Northrup.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Personal privilege?
Granted.
Thank you. My daughter, who's the mother of Andrew, is up above with her husband, Ryan, and their daughter, their oldest daughter, Evelyn. There is a concern, though. They've got a younger daughter, Grace, and Grace is not here, and I just wonder if it's necessary for us possibly to do a wellness check as to where Grace is. So with that, welcome the Freeze family. Thank you.
Representative Goodwin. Representative May. Representative Reich. Representative Shorm. Mr. Speaker, all members have voted.
Clerk will please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there are ayes 67, excused 3.
Consent calendar items having received the affirmative vote of the majority of members elects, is hereby declared passed. Any questions on the title? Seeing none, the title is deemed correct. Second reading of House bills.
House Bill 1017, an act to permit the board of a school district to require that certain students receive instruction in alternative settings.
House Bill 1017, having had its second reading, is up for consideration and final passage. Are there any remarks? Representative Odenbach.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have an amendment to this bill.
Is that 1017H?
It is 1017H. It's been published, and I do wish to move it at this time.
The Odenbach motion to amend House Bill 1017 with Amendment 1017H having been made and seconded. Remarks on your motion, Representative Odenbach.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and because it's pretty significant, I'd like some latitude to speak to the bill and the amendment.
Granted.
Thank you. They're pretty much intertwined, members of the House. So what 1017H does is deals with the problem when we listen to our teachers, when we listen to our school boards, recent proceedings of the Teacher Compensation Review Board, for example, the top 3 things that our teachers in our public schools talked about as issues of concern, stressors, and frankly reasons that some teachers are leaving the profession was kids' behavior, teacher pay, and cell phones in the classroom. And this issue, this bill today, is dealing with the issue of behavior and the issues that so many of our teachers are dealing with in the schools. And so I bring you today 1017H. I would argue that H stands for helpful. Because it's going to be helpful for school boards, helpful for teachers, it's helpful for local control, and it's helpful, frankly, for students who do want to learn. The amendment that you have before you today essentially puts this bill back in the original form that it was first brought by the department to the Education Committee, and it's a very simple bill. It's essentially one sentence. It says that a school board may assign a student to receive instruction in an alternative setting for aggressive or violent behaviors that disrupt the school or that affect a health or safety factor of the school or its program. The second sentence then limits anything that could be in conflict with South Dakota's open enrollment statute, which is 132840, or the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or Section 504 of the Federal Rehabilitation Act. And then Section 2, which was what many of us have worked on together and talked about, basically would ask each school district that is going to reassign a student to report to the Department of Education how many students were assigned to alternative settings during the school year. And I think that's important because it's going to help us begin to get a handle on this issue statewide of how often this is happening, and then help us do a better job in the future of dealing with this issue. So I would ask you to support 1017H. The amendment, and then the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Further remarks on the Odenbach motion to amend? Representative Greenfield.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, we know that we've come to the time of the year that we compromise on certain situations, but I do think But I want to give information that this bill in its original form way back in the fall was drafted and was not acceptable because it was so general. And so there were several working groups, including the governor's office, that worked to define some of the terms that were in here. And I just want to give kudos to that working group because they've met every week for probably about 4 weeks now. So I feel a little bit sorry that, we've come back in this direction, but I guess, it's up to each and every one of you to decide what you want to do with the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Further remarks on the Odenbach motion to amend? Any further remarks? Representative Jordan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was part of the Education Committee and initially supported the amendment, but since then, because I thought it was a good compromise, but since then I've been talking with a lot of teachers and administration from my district, especially teachers, and they say the bill as is would be a bureaucratic mess, and to please bring it back to the original form so they can control it as they'd like. So please support the amendment.
Thank you. Further remarks on the Odenbach motion to amend? Any further remarks? Seeing no further remarks, the question before roll call has been requested. Is the roll call supported? Please stand if you support the roll call. The roll call is supported. Question before the House is the Odenbach motion to amend House Bill 1017 with Amendment 1017H. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed, nay. The clerk will unlock the voting machine, and the members will proceed to vote.
Mr. Speaker, all members have voted.
Clerk will please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there are ayes 49, nays 18, excused 3.
The Odenbach motion, having received the affirmative vote of the majority members elect, is hereby declared carried. House Bill 1017 is amended. We are now on House Bill 1017 as amended with 1017H. Representative Odenbach.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I don't want to belabor the point, but I guess I would just say when you do take a look at the bill and the fact that it's simple and straightforward, I think it falls right in line with what we hear and hear all the time about local control, about trusting our teachers, trusting our school boards, letting them have control of their classroom. And I think it's a great bill, and I'd ask you to vote green. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark's question before the House is final passage of House Bill 1017 as amended. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed, nay. The clerk will unlock the voting machine, and the members will proceed to vote. Representative Mortensen. Granted.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Folks, for the very first time since I came to the legislature, my big brother is visiting us. He's sitting right up here with his family. He's my best friend. He's been the best brother a guy could ask for. He's the brains in the family. He's a PhD economist, and he's got a wonderful family. His wife, Liz, is there. His daughter, Cecilia, is down here with me. And my nephews, Leo and Oscar, who has that look on his face permanently, are all joining us, and my mother as well. Would you help me welcome them to the House of Representatives?
Representative Jorgensen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Personal privilege?
Granted.
I would very much like to introduce the Meade County Republican Chair, Lynn Hendrickson, who I have served along with for many, many years, but he is awesome. And would you please welcome him to his capital?
Mr. Speaker, all members have voted.
Clerk will please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there were ayes 67, excused 3.
House Bill 1017, having received the affirmative vote of the majority of members elect, is hereby declared passed. Any questions on the title? Seeing none, the title is deemed correct.
House Bill 1045, an act to revise certain provisions related to child support.
House Bill 1045, having had its second reading, is up for consideration and final passage. Are there any remarks? Representative Stevens.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have an amendment, 1045G.
1045G. Has it been distributed online?
It has.
You wish to move it at this time?
I do.
That motion to amend House Bill 1045 with Amendment 1045G having been made and seconded. Remarks on your motion, Representative Stevens.
Mr. Speaker, in meeting with a good fellow legislator, he had a very good idea, and I made it a part of this bill, and I'd like to discuss that when we have a chance to discuss the bill.
Granted. You want to do that now, or?
And do it now would be great.
Sure, go ahead.
Want to do the amendment or the whole? I do the whole thing.
It's totally up to you.
Let's do the whole thing.
Let's do it.
All right. That's what I always liked about you.
Go ahead.
As a part of being a member of the Commission of Child Support Recommendations, one big part of it is dealing with the referees who deal with all of the 43,000 hearings that there are dealing with setting of the child support at all. And so they had several recommendations that they felt would make it more precise and more accurate as trying to determine these. And so each one of these sections, the 7 sections, really deal with a clarification so that they can be more accurate in it as far as determining how many hours that they have to look at, what the minimum wage would be, dealing with, some of it has to deal with some federal regulations, which involves those incarcerated and how you calculate their child support at that time. Sometimes there's agreements by the parties, but also there needs to be language in there about the courts. It talks about paternity, because lots of times you have instances where it come in and it's a 99%, and they need to be able to use that information in that regard. Even such simple things as if a parties agree, instead of sending out a mail, that they'll agree to take it by email as opposed. And then what do you do when there's an appeal? What documents need to be continued on? And that's what those are. The amendment itself was brought to me by a former House member and now a Senate member, and he brought in a very good suggestion that I've incorporated in here, because when you do child support, there are times where you can deviate from the child support schedule that we adopted the other day. And in 2576.10, there were 6 of them, but the one that he brought up that I thought was really a good idea, and so I incorporated it, is one number 7, which says that when the referees are looking at making this decision, they can now take into consideration the federal income tax consequences from one party claiming dependent and another party not. And so they take that in the whole calculation. So it's a real complete financial view of what's going on with the parties. And so that's where the amendment came in, and I thought it was a good idea, and so adopted it and made it a part of this bill. So I'd ask for your green vote, please.
Thank you. Any further remarks on the Stevens motion to amend? Any further remarks? Seeing no further remarks, the question before the House is the Stevens motion to amend House Bill 1045 with Amendment 1045G. This is a voice vote. All those in favor of the motion to amend will signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. We are now on House Bill 1045 as amended. Any further remarks? Seeing no further remarks, the question before the House is final passage of House Bill 1045. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed, nay. The clerk will unlock the voting machine and the members will proceed to vote. Representative Randolph.
Personal privilege.
Granted.
Today, there's a young man here that I've grown pretty fond of, and he just so happens to also be running for my seat when I'm turned out. So would you guys all welcome Jace West?
Representative Reich.
Personal privilege.
Granted.
This is kind of an announcement, so I look like a little latitude. This morning At 9:15, I got a message, this is while I was in State Affairs, although I was paying attention to the matter at hand at State Affairs, that my son's on the way to the hospital with his 9-month pregnant wife, my son Trevor, and his wife Haley, and said, say a prayer. Okay, so 9:44, there's a picture of my new granddaughter Emma, and Trevor, my son, said, our car is still running outside the hospital. So please welcome Emma Rice to the world.
Representative Schubeck. Mr. Speaker, all members have voted.
The clerk will please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there were ayes 67, excused 3.
House Bill 1045, having received the affirmative vote of the majority of members elect, is hereby declared passed. Any questions on the title? Seeing none, the title is deemed correct.
House Bill 1275, an act to create requirements for age verification and parental consent for application stores and to provide a penalty therefor.
House Bill 1275, having had its second reading, is up for consideration and final passage. Are there any remarks? Representative Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the body, I thought I would start with this bill by telling you that this legislation was crafted by Family Voice Action and the Digital Childhood Institute. It's the brainchild of 170-plus child advocacy organizations across the nation, including the Heritage Foundation, the National Center on Sexual Exploitation, the Institute for Family Studies, and more. And I'll maybe turn to another mention or two of kind of the history of this bill. But I would like to tell you that this legislation enforces a simple concept, and that is that a minor cannot sign a valid enforceable contract. Nevertheless, in the digital world, we are allowing children to enter into legally binding contracts with, well, you could say multi-million, but probably multi-billion-dollar tech companies, and this bill is designed to end that unless there is parental consent. So this bill does three things. It requires accurate age ratings of applications. It requires one-time age verification before signing a digital agreement, and it requires parental approval for app downloads in the case of a minor. So many of you weren't in the committee testimony, of course, but we have good support for this from the Internet Crimes Against Children, the Attorney General's Office, a human trafficking rescue group staff member who said that parents essentially find out after the fact that a horrible situation has unfolded, and if only we had known they had the app on their phone. So what does this do here? Well, let's talk about this. Let's take scenario one, a parent buying a smartphone for their 14-year-old. When setting up the phone, you as the parent, you choose the age category your child fits in. You don't give the child's birthday, you don't upload data, you simply tell the phone, my kid is in this age category. The next day, when little Johnny downloads the Monster Truck game, hopefully that's all it is, the download pauses because the phone knows that Johnny is not old enough to sign the terms of service that are coming next. So mom or dad's phone gets a notification. And so then the prompt is, Mom or Dad, do you consent to the terms and conditions of this game? And the notification would include a few basic details about what's in the app and the age appropriateness of the app. Then, if little Johnny tries to download an app that the parents believe is dangerous or harmful, they can decline to sign the terms of service. It's really that simple. So, and there are alternative settings for children who are perhaps in the care of a guardian or other caregivers, so that's permissible too. Scenario two is for all of us here, you have a smartphone, like most of us here. There's no additional information needed to age verify you. Face ID is available. The phone already knows how old you are, or at least what age category you fit in. So we've got wide flexibility For example, if you have a credit card in your digital wallet, you're good to go. You're already verified. For phones that do not currently have needed verification, there's a long list of unobtrusive methods to verify age. And the free market, and I understand that our good representative from Stanley County, et cetera, that his brother is quite skilled in designing apps, so maybe he'll get to grade the paper here, I don't know. But once your age is verified, you're done. It's a one and done. The phone knows you're old enough to sign contracts and you get on with your life. The bill also has strict limitations on what companies are allowed to do with the data. They're only able to use it for compliance with this law. Now, scenario 2, an application developer is building a new app. There's just 2 requirements for app developers. For example, the monster truck game we talked about. So first, accurate information is provided to the App Store about the age rating of the app, and then so on and so forth. So once you've received the all-clear notice from the App Store that the person signing the terms of service is a legal adult or has parental consent, then we've got a pathway to go after an application that falsely advertises itself. And I should mention the Attorney General's office was involved with this bill and added some teeth to it. I'm probably not going to get my candy bar today. So this is kind of how we're going. And we've got the Catholic bishops. We've had a forensic examiner go over this. And please join me in affirming this very important concept. Please vote green.
Thank you. All right. Okay. Thank you. Representative Mortensen.
I rise in support of this bill today. I'm a big believer that we are overprotecting our children in the real world and underprotecting them in the digital world. I think that this is a bill that has been put together by a lot of sharp people. I had a lot of questions about it as recently as 36 hours ago. Those questions have been answered. This is a very difficult and technical area to get correct. I am satisfied it has been worked on by sharp people. My questions were answered, and I'll be voting green.
Thank you. Further remarks on House Bill 1275. Representative Schaefbauer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A question for the Prime, please.
State your question.
If this bill is for centralized accountability and putting the responsibility on Meta and other platforms, doesn't this play into the lawsuit on Section 230, which gives the platforms immunity already?
Representative Hughes, do you wish to answer that question?
Is the question concerning net neutrality that is part of the FCC?
Follow-up, Representative Schaefbauer.
No, it's the lawsuit. Section 230 is where these platforms get immunity for the content that is put on the platforms.
Representative Hughes, do you wish to answer that question?
Okay, Mr. Speaker, yes, I'll try. This bill does not affect anything that I'm aware of with the Federal Communications Commission or anything to do with what Congress is doing as a regulatory matter. It's simply enacting into state law protections requiring parental consent for children to purchase apps. So that's kind of above my pay grade, I would say, Mr. Speaker.
Follow-up or remarks, Representative Schaefbauer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just some remarks. So, like I stated, the Section 230 lawsuit is where basically Congress has given all these platforms, these major platforms, immunity over the content that they put in, like free speech that is posted to these platforms. So these big platforms want to have all the age verification on that level. Well, now we're giving accountability to a platform that already has immunity from putting things on their platforms. So I think it's a little counterproductive, and the true intent is really not what this bill is. So I just have some points to make about this. Who does this bill actually protect? It protects everybody but the kids. Device manufacturers get new compliance revenue. Social media platforms get liability shields. We get to say we did something. What do the kids get? They get the same harmful algorithms and just more paperwork. So they're still getting targeted with the oh, for heaven's sakes, the TikTok ads that show you could be a different gender, the Instagram that girls, you're not perfect in the body that God gave you. These still are going on. Point 2, Grindr backs this bill. So does Pornhub, Meta too. The platforms actually harming kids all want this passed because it doesn't touch them. Again, the immunity of Section 230. Device manufacturers handle age verifications. Platforms keep doing what they're doing. Kids still get hurt. Point 3, parents are the ones that need to verify the age. Pretty soon the credit card isn't going to be good enough. You are going to be uploading your real ID. What is real ID and where does that lead? It leads these big platforms to collect all of our metadata and store in those big, beautiful data centers everybody wants to put around. It's all about tracking. Point 4, it's a backward approach. When we regulated tobacco, we went after tobacco companies, not just stores. Warning labels, marketing bans, real liability. This bill only hits device manufacturers. Instagram still keeps wrecking teenage girls. TikTok still keeps servicing addictive content, but now these platforms have their shield because, well, parents approved it, and they're already shielded. Kids will access this content through browsers, through their friends' phones. Kids will get the bad stuff for them in many ways, and we will not have the controls. So I just want to remind you, Grindr, Pornhub, Meta, all want this bill, all these big media platforms. This should tell you everything
Baxter Yields.
about who is being protected and who is not, and it's the kids who are not. So in close, device manufacturers benefit, platforms get shielded because of Section 230 immunity. We politicians get to check a box that we help kids, but they're still getting destroyed by the algorithms on these that are addictive on these platforms. You know, we all say we are parents and we need to parent, and that is true, and we try to do the best we can. But let's be honest, kids are kids. They are going to get the things they want behind our back, and unfortunately, it causes some grave harm. But when you have Meta donating $24 million to this bill, when you have Pornhub, Grindr, these most disgusting platforms that are behind this bill, I mean, ask yourself, they're protected. So let's load up our information because we're protecting our kids, right? No, they are getting more information on us. They are still giving the dangerous and addictive content to our kids because if our kids want to get it, they're going to get it. The biggest way that we can help our kids is just say no. Thank you.
Thank you. Further remarks on House Bill 1275. Representative Soy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just a few brief comments. A lot of the arguments that we just heard are arguments that we heard last year and the year before when we were discussing age verification for porn sites, that this wouldn't solve all of the problems. Kids will find a way around it, right? But we still did it because it was the right thing to do. And this is really step 2 in protecting our kids from pornography, because one of the questions that came up during that was, okay, well, they can download a VPN, right? And then they're not in our state, and then they don't have to age verify for pornography websites. Well, if we pass this into law, now they need parental permission to download that VPN. So we're slowly closing the gap. No one bill will solve every problem. And I'm not sure about those other organizations and what's true and what's not, but if you look at the organizations in our state that have been working on this, people that we know and trust like Family Voice, like Call to Freedom, they all want this. It's one more tool for parents to help protect their children. So please help close the gap and pass this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Further remarks on House Bill 1275. Any further remarks? Representative Hughes in closing.
Well, in response to the good representative from Brown County, it would have been perhaps nice if she'd have been in committee. I don't recall her being there. And I appreciate.
Personalities.
I'm sorry.
Let's just avoid personalities.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, here's perhaps back to reality here. The bottom line is that this is a step. It's a step forward. I would say that the way to protect your children from apps is don't let your child have a smartphone. That's really, short of that, we need this legislation. So I would encourage you all to pass this bill. It's been vetted. It's been approved elsewhere. It survived the good representative from Stanley County. He and I went through line by line through the bill. And there's one thing I can say about that representative is that I always come away better informed with a better understanding, and it survived his scrutiny. And I noticed that the people here that are in the demographic that is probably 35 and under, they aren't criticizing this bill or raising technical glitches or other problems. So there's been so much energy and good faith and good intent that has been put into this bill. And frankly, this is a class action waiting to happen. I will tell you probably why, if there are big groups that are supporting this, the reason why is that ultimately there's going to be a class action where parents are bringing lawsuits in the tens and tens or perhaps hundreds of thousands against app developers for situations where their kids are allowed to contract and their credit cards are getting charged unlawfully for contracts that are void under state law. So I appreciate your support and your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no further remarks, the question before the House is final passage of House Bill 1275. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed, nay. The clerk will unlock the voting machine, and the members will proceed to vote.
Mr. Speaker, all members have voted.
Clerk will please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there are ayes 50, nays 17, excused 3.
House Bill 1275, having received the affirmative vote of the majority of members elect, is hereby declared passed. Are there any questions on the title? Seeing none, the title is deemed correct.
House Bill 1292, an act to limit the ability of a health carrier to recoup, recover, and retroactively deny previously paid claims.
House Bill 1292, having had its second reading, is up for consideration and final passage. Are there any remarks? Representative Heerman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. HB 1292 is a narrowly tailored bill. This is a focused policy that simply places reasonable limits on how and when a health carrier can retroactively recoup or deny a claim that has already been paid. The issue we're trying to address is the very real operational disruption that retroactive claim takebacks can cause, particularly for rural healthcare organizations. Today, when a health insurer has paid their portion of the medical bill and the patient has paid their portion, that account is generally closed out. However, in South Dakota, an insurance company can do an internal audit, determine that an overpayment was made, and claw back that payment indefinitely. This bill would put reasonable timeframes, saying that 18 months after the claim payment is made, that the health insurer has forfeited that opportunity to pull the money back. This bill is about predictability and fairness. It gives providers reasonable certainty that once a claim is paid, it will not be endlessly reopened without clear justification, such as fraud, which is clearly carved out in the bill. And I just want to share that when these takebacks happen, the operational costs and extra effort and time that's put into trying to reconcile those accounts is significant for rural healthcare. When we look in the industry for all the other states that have done something similar and put these guardrails in place, 18 is a very reasonable compromise to start. And so for those reasons, I would just ask for your green vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Further remarks on House Bill 1292? Any further remarks? Seeing no further remarks, the question before the House is final passage of House Bill 1292. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed, nay. The clerk will unlock the voting machine, and the members will proceed to vote.
Overweg votes aye. Schaefbauer votes aye. And Dara votes aye. Mucky votes aye. Randolph votes aye. Representative Hughes. Mr. Speaker, all members have voted.
Clerk will please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there were ayes 67, excused 3.
House Bill 1292, having received the affirmative vote of the majority of members elect, is hereby declared passed. Any questions on the title? Seeing none, the title is deemed correct.
House Bill 1246, an act to prohibit non-disclosure of certain agreements related to data centers.
House Bill 1246, having had its second reading, is up for consideration and final passage. Are there any remarks? Representative Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I guess this is my day, whether I wanted it or not. HB 1246 was drafted by me after observing all of the litigation that's going on around the country, dozens and dozens of lawsuits filed in Michigan, Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota's having problems, Arizona, all because local governments are entering into secret agreements with data center developers. Now, you may ask me, well, wait a minute, is this an anti-data center bill? Is this sending the wrong message to data center developers? And my answer is no. What this does is it prevents the existence of a non-disclosure agreement or confidentiality agreement from being concealed from the public, and it lodges a data center contract or agreement. And I should say, NDAs and confidentiality agreements are often preliminary to formal legal documents. But here's why this bill works and why it sits well within our existing Chapter 1-27. The bill expressly provides that a non-disclosure or confidentiality agreement is a public record. Well, what that triggers is all of the protections that we have for disclosing a host of confidential information, appraisal information, trade secret information, even financial and commercial information that is given to the State Investment Council, the Division of Investment, to the economic development people in South Dakota, financial, commercial, and proprietary information supplied in conjunction with applications or proposals for research, for projects, are all allowed to be protected. But what isn't protected is the fact that there's something in the works. And then it's up to the public to be engaged and get involved. So I view this as a pro-development contract because the people are invested with the knowledge that something is going on. And I've received dozens of emails supporting this. I haven't received one that said it's a bad idea. And as another example as well, there's a specific provision in Chapter 1-27 that allows redaction. So in committee, one of the opponents testified, well, how do we keep our identity secret? Well, simple, you redact it. You know, the version of the document that's released to the public can be heavily redacted, but it's going to indicate that there is a project underway. And the idea is to give people an opportunity to be engaged or not be engaged so that there is less fear. I mean, I think you know me from last session and hopefully this session. My goal is to turn the temperature down when it comes to large economic development projects by not creating more cynicism in a public which in some ways is already too cynical. It's to let them kind of know there are projects in the works, and it allows the projects to be examined on their merits. And that's why I brought the environmental impact statement that this body passed, because it allows a formal public airing of what is the public benefits, what are the business benefits of this proposed activity. So data centers are a hot topic. I don't want to send a message that we're against them. I want to send a message that voters should be engaged if they wish to, and that local governing bodies should be aware that they can't just meet in secret and think that that's fine. Because, you know, in South Dakota, going back to 2009, I think it was Senator Dave Knudsen who proposed a complete overhaul, and we shifted our presumption from documents being presumed to be not disclosable to the presumption that every document is a public record.
Ismay yields.
And so we have all kinds of protections in existing statutes for discussions, memorandums, letters, emails of government officials. So when they're meeting with data center developers, all those conversations are not public. They're privileged, they're expressly confidential. This just takes us to the point where when there's a real project in the works, the people can be informed. Thank you.
Thank you. For the remarks, Representative Rowe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in opposition to this bill. I share the goal of transparency. No one wants hidden deals that burden taxpayers with water, power, or road costs. But this bill is too blunt. Section 1 says a government entity may not enter into an agreement concerning the construction, development, or location of a data center which requires confidentiality or non-disclosure. The word "which" means even one sentence in the entire agreement requires confidentiality, trade secrets, cybersecurity, power projections, pricing. The whole deal is banned, no exceptions. Additionally, the definition of data center is so broad it could block a county server upgrade or a school district project, pretty much anything. The phrase concerning the construction, development, or location is vague and could catch routine tax deals, utility extensions, and/or land purchases. In practice, this will hurt our competitiveness. Data center companies demand confidentiality when shopping states. Forcing everything public on day one gives other states the advantage and risks our losing potential jobs and investment. This is a well-intentioned but overbroad bill. I urge a no vote. Let's come back with a narrower bill that protects real transparency without scaring away legitimate projects. Thank you.
Thank you. Further remarks on House Bill 1246, Representative Shorma.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I've bought and sold multiple businesses in my career. By the way, I have a question for the bill sponsor first.
State your question.
Is a memorandum of understanding a contract?
Representative Hughes, do you wish to answer that question?
Well, I will, Mr. Speaker. A memorandum of understanding may well fit within other exceptions for those kinds of communications that are protected from disclosure. But if it does call for non-disclosure or confidentiality, then it is presumed to be a public record, subject to all of the provisions for redaction that are in existing statute. They're extensive.
Follow-up or remarks, Representative Sharma?
Remarks, please. So in my experience, buying or selling a business is quite different from citing a brand new location. Now, I've done that too. Citing a new location and then having a memorandum of understanding that must be disclosed tells my competition I'm going there. Maybe I ought to go there. There must be a reason they're picking that site. It also tells my employees that I may be going to a different location, and they leap to the conclusion that we're probably shutting down and relocating the whole business. I mean, it creates a lot of fear because you need to keep things like that confidential, because you don't know until the letter is signed at the bottom, the document is signed at the bottom that says we're going to do this. On a sale of a business, multiple companies will be bidding at the same time. My employees, if they see me giving a tour of someone through the plant, and I did this 3 times in a row in about 2 weeks, some of them jumped to the conclusion and spread the rumor around the plant that we're going to be selling the business, and who knows if it's going to be relocated out of town and all of that. Well, I can't share with them what's going on there yet. We don't have a deal. So I think the same is true when you're looking at a site for a data center. As soon as you commit with a letter, a memorandum of understanding that says, you know, as we look at this and we get a little farther down the road and I make sure that my agreements with the power companies are there, and you understand, the county understands that I've got water stuff, I want to have some conversations with some of the county commissioners. You're not committed to that spot yet, but I also don't want my competition to know that I'm working on that spot yet. Now, in the site up by Toronto, they were open. They had palms up. They needed to get the community to understand what they were doing there, and I understand that's their choice. But there are a lot of other entities that would not make that choice that early on. So I have to rise and oppose this. Thank you.
Thank you. Further remarks on House Bill 1246? Representative Szymanski.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to share comments that my comments aren't whether it's a data center or any business, and I respect the intent, but I've been in a lot of those meetings where states are hosting you to build a business. And it's usually 5 years worth of work before. I've been involved in one project that started in 2014, and we finally are doing something 8 years, we're finally doing something about 8 years later. Well, in those meetings, I've witnessed the point of, well, we can do this, but we're gonna have to go public. And that's when the negotiation ends for that state or a community. I've been involved where a town of 500 won a project over a town of 250,000 people. And it was in South Dakota, so you figure out where they were. But the town of 500, their small town desire for growth, they won the project because we could talk about it for years and get to a solution. So I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to resist this. In negotiating and putting together large projects, the kiss of death is to go public. And if we require people to go public before there's any time of really getting into the meat of the issue, we'll be out of business. And I say that just because as you negotiate, the state, community, and the business will know whether it's right. Because sometimes the community will say, yeah, well, now that we've found this out, it's not right. And it goes both ways on this. So my advice, leave the negotiation open until there's truly a decision that, yes, we want to build there. Because then, then we go into trust to our county commissions, our city councils. They still have to pass all the permits for the Department of Natural Resources and so on. So it's not a done deal. But if we make transparency required right away, it will be a done deal for our state. So I'm going to resist this.
Thank you. Further remarks, Representative Jameson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Question for the prime sponsor.
State your question.
The question is, does the sponsor know of another neighboring state that has something similar in law like this?
Representative Hughes, do you wish to answer that question?
Yes. Well, what I can tell you is that there are bills similar to this pending in multiple states currently. I haven't kept on the vote tally because there's several legislatures that are in session, but all you need to do is Google this, no pun intended, and you will find a ream of jurisdictions and lawsuits. This bill will reduce lawsuits, but that's another topic, so thank you.
Follow-up remarks, Representative Jameson.
A little follow-up, if I could. I'm sorry, remarks, I guess would be the term. So the reason I asked the question really is, I know that we're all trying to figure out this whole data center position, and do we want to have them in our state? What do we want to protect, and what should we do? I know local governments are struggling with the same thing, municipalities, counties, and others. But some of what was brought up earlier, I don't want to go too far into really, but there's an effect that could have some unintended consequences with this by bringing in other groups that really technically qualify under this language. It just has a chilling effect, if you will, on business development and opportunities like it. The other states who are essentially open doors for data centers have welcomed them in their states with rules and regulations that have allowed them to exist. We are on the other side of this, at maybe even the tail end of it all, really, because we're able to judge what those other states have done right and what they've done wrong. This is this approach here just has a chilling effect. And as a former city council member of Sioux Falls, I've been involved in some of these large negotiations that have required confidentiality in order to put the deal together. And it is enormously expensive for the developer or the business person who's moving to put these things together. And a misstep, miscue can wreck it all. And so I would urge you to resist this bill. I think there's time for us to review other ways to provide transparency to these data centers as they move here, rules and regulations laid out for their existence in our state. But this one, I think, addresses it in the wrong direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Further remarks, Representative Greenfield.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to interject a few things here. You know, I don't think there's anything wrong with letting people in the area know that there's a possible site for thus and such in a certain area so people are aware of it. Because to me, a chilling effect is when you go ahead and strike the deal, procure the land, get the infrastructure all in place, and then people find out and they start protesting, and then one hears the words, well, we've already started this project. You're coming in the middle of things and wrecking it. So I think that we should possibly know ahead of time. Thank you.
Thank you. Further remarks on House Bill 1246. Any further remarks? Representative Jorgensen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just did a quick look to see what's going on with NDAs and other states. And Wisconsin basically has pending legislation, multiple bills would impose a blanket ban on NDAs between data center companies and municipalities, local government. Ohio has legislation that they're introducing to prohibit local officials from entering NDAs related to official duties, including data centers. Florida has several that is actually bipartisan. Georgia, Michigan, New Jersey, Arizona. So there are other states that are also looking into this, and it seems like the major concern is electricity use and water use. So I just wanted to add that to the discussion, and I'm probably going to vote yes, but I wanted to share that. Thank you.
Thank you. Further remarks on House Bill 1246? Representative Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just think it's humorous. We all forget. Do you remember Summit? Summit was done beforehand. Just want to make that comment.
Further remarks? Representative Mucky.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I know when we talk about data centers in our communities, this is something that's hitting home very hard for us in Sioux Falls at the current moment. I know I have constituents who are concerned about this. I want to say two things. One, the concept of having NDAs for hyperscale data centers of the type of which we're seeing, I'm not opposed to in principle. I think it's important for us to talk about how do we actually have palms up business conversations. What I'm concerned about as I read about this bill, and I think the good sponsor for bringing this, is that the term data center at this point in time when I read this looks too broad. And the reason being is that, at least in our state right now, we do have smaller scale data centers. Data centers as a term can apply to many things beyond the conversations we're having on this floor at this moment in time. Now, what I'd like to see is a more narrow definition and a more narrow set of protections, because I do agree in principle with the prime sponsor. But as far as the current version of this bill as it stands today, unfortunately, I need to vote red. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Further remarks on House Bill 1246? Any further remarks? Representative Hughes in closing.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. Well, a couple of comments. This only applies for NDAs and confidentiality agreements when local governments or the states involved. This doesn't affect private parties. This doesn't affect little data centers. This is when local and state governments are negotiating. Now, what is that going to encompass? Big projects. You know, it's a straw man argument or a red herring that little data centers are going to be covered by this. It's the government that is entering into a secret agreement regarding a data center. That's what we're trying to bring sunshine into within the confines of our existing statutes, which is full of protections that have been just ignored, basically. I've studied this. Take a look at Chapter 1-27. Look at all the ways that a sophisticated party like Google or Amazon, I mean, think about this. Don't you, when the army of suits comes in, don't you want your citizens and your local government officials to have some backup to say, look, you know, sure, we can keep these things confidential, but not these things. We're talking about hyperscale projects with huge demands for electricity and huge demands for water. This isn't a cheese plant that's going to employ 200 people and everybody's going to celebrate and jump up and down when the good representative comes with investment capital and is adding to real wage growth and real economic development to a community. This is a silent data center that provides very few jobs, that is full of hazardous material, that is going to be, have what, a few employees, that generates terrific heat, uses terrific amounts of water, terrific amounts of power. And the idea that we need to gingerly be careful around Fortune 100 companies that want a piece of South Dakota. They want our resources. They're not even offering jobs on these situations. They want to come here for what we have an abundance of: our land, our natural resources, our power, which includes our water. So this is simply a bill that allows all of us to be a little bit aware of what's going on, but it isn't going to hinder sophisticated business people from protecting their identity or their trade secrets or their confidential information. It's going to lower the temperature so the public is aware of what's going on and so that we can plan. Because what you've heard over and over in this state is, remember Summit and Glacial Lakes and Navigator? We're changing the rules of the game. Seriously? The rules of the game started with 240 lawsuits against our citizens. I don't want that type of an adversarial environment here. We are South Dakotans. We are smart, we are intelligent, we are resourceful, and we take care of our own. And before we bargain away our water and our land and our electricity, we better be darn careful, because guess what? Do you remember the Superfund? You remember when large businesses go into areas with certain technologies and then they leave? Again, this is not a cheese plant. This is not a cheese plant. This is a complicated, large-scale project, and we've offered tax incentives for this, public expenditures. We need to do better for our people. I guess that's my last plea to all of you. Protect our people, protect our land, protect our water, protect our power. And this agreement will at least put a little tool in the toolbox so that we can do that. And it probably will lead to fewer lawsuits and fewer demonstrations and fewer city council chambers that are overflowing with people that feel cut out of the process. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no further remarks, the question before the House is final passage of House Bill 1246. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed, nay. The clerk will unlock the voting machine, and the members will proceed to vote. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us in our gallery up to your right is Bart Sample and his family. I don't see, are both your daughters there? His wife, Cassandra? Okay. Bart is a constituent of mine from Moody County. He's also running for District 25 House. Please welcome him to the Capitol building.
Mr. Speaker, all members have voted.
Clerk will please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there are ayes 30, nays 37, excused 3.
House Bill 1246, having failed to receive the affirmative vote of the majority of members elect, is hereby declared lost.
House Bill 1323, an act to amend the time required for filing a petition referring an ordinance or resolution of a political subdivision.
House Bill 1323, having had its second reading, is up for consideration and final passage. Are there any remarks? Representative Aylward.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have an amendment I would like to move.
Is that Amendment 1323A?
It is.
Has it been distributed online?
Yes, sir.
Do you wish to move it at this time?
I do.
That motion to amend House Bill 1323 with Amendment 1323A having been made and seconded. Remarks on your motion, Representative Aylward.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So speaking just the amendment here, current law that you have in front of you, you have a 20-day window if you want to refer an ordinance or a resolution. We passed in committee a 45-day window. I heard some concerns from some folks out there, so we moved it back to 30-day, and I'll touch on the rest. Ask you to pass this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Further remarks on the Aylward motion to amend? Any further remarks? Seeing no further remarks, question before the House is the Aylward motion to amend House Bill 1323 with Amendment 1323A. This is a voice vote. All those in favor of the motion to amend will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. We're now on House Bill 1323 as amended. Representative Aylward.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The bill you have before you, obviously, it's quite long. There's 14 pages, but a lot of it's style and form change. The main thing that we're looking at here is to focus on is we're giving the taxpayers more time to refer an ordinance or a resolution, whether it be at the county, the city, school board, school district. Those are the things that we're focusing on here. So, over the last year, and then just recently in Sioux Falls, it caught my attention quite a bit when you see, the public come out, they want to make a change with something that got passed at the local level. They say, hey, you need to go get 6,000 plus votes. You only have 20 days to do it. It can be done if you're well organized, if you have paid circulators, things like that, and you see it coming. But for something to get passed right away, and then you have, family members, mothers and fathers that they get caught off guard, they don't like it, so then they scramble to try to make a change. And then by that time, who knows, they might have 10 days left. So again, the main focus here is just asking for more time for the taxpayers to make a change if they want to make a change. As I stated with the amendment there was some concern in the committee. So we compromised on this. We moved it back to 30 days. I still think that's a good step forward. So I'll leave you with that. Just asking for more time for the public. Please vote green. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Further remarks on House Bill 1323? Any further remarks? Representative Jameson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just a couple of comments here. This bill really, first off, got to acknowledge the cooperation with the prime sponsor's willingness to adjust his original ask. So I acknowledge and thank him for that. The issue, though, for me came just a little later, and I wanted to just cover a couple things. This bill really is on our floor today because of what did happen in Sioux Falls. And I wanted to share a couple details about that. The process of an annexation, a zoning change on the land, this process could have been done in a different way where the public would not have known who was making the zoning change. The original landowner could have, which was Xcel Energy, could have made this zoning change without a peep from anybody. Nobody would have known. They would have said, light industrial, sounds good, let's go. But what happened is the applicant purchased the land and then made the zoning request, which acknowledged to the world who they are and what they're up to. What I'm trying to share with you is that this process was, in Sioux Falls, as public as it gets. There were notices, hearings, multiple hearings, and places for public to give input. So it wasn't like a surprised event, I guess is what I'm trying to share with you. And that's kind of been the cycle and the process through which local government has worked. So just back to the bill, though, I wanted to share just a couple things. The 20-day limit is designed for efficiency, certainty, and stability. Local governments frequently make decisions regarding infrastructure, zoning, and public safety that require immediate action. A short referral window ensures that once an ordinance is published, the government knows within 3 weeks whether it can move forward or if the project must be halted for a public vote. Without a tight deadline, projects involving contractors, bond financing, or federal deadlines could be held in limbo for months, potentially increasing costs. South Dakota's 20-day limit for local referrals mirrors other administrative and legal deadlines within the state code. Keeping the window relatively short encourages citizens to remain engaged in the legislative process as it happens, like I mentioned, through those hearings, rather than waiting until weeks after a decision is made. I would just urge you to keep this, or to oppose this bill and keep government efficient. Thank you.
Thank you. Further remarks on House Bill 1323? Representative Aylward. Excuse me, Representative Norstrom.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill is here for a reason. It is impossible to stop an opt-out in Sioux Falls. The reason it's impossible to stop an opt-out in Sioux Falls is it takes 5% of the registered voters, which turns into a little bit over 6,500 in 20 days. The Sioux Falls School District has done opt-out after opt-out after opt-out, and the voters can't stop them. Please vote green.
Thank you. Further remarks on House Bill 1323? Representative Baumüller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In South Dakota, we have 66 counties. 187, I believe, school districts, and 300 plus municipalities that have been abiding by this current law since 1989. In committee, I actually supported this in hopes that we would bring another amendment to the floor. The proponent did not see that as a friendly amendment, so I did not bring that. I appreciate the 30 days, but our local governments are limited to 20 days. Our building to build projects, we have such a small window for contracts in the summer for roads, any construction, and this just makes it smaller. I understand the issue that Sioux Falls had, but it's not an issue across the state. I think we should vote this down and look for another option.
Thank you. Further remarks on House Bill 1323? Any further remarks? Representative Aylward in closing.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for the debate on this. You know, and I hear your concerns with some of them that were brought up. That's why you have the amendment you have in front of you here today. I thought it was a good compromise. That's what I get for compromising. But no, I still think it's good. You know, we heard on this floor, a good representative from Lincoln Minnehaha over here had a bill earlier this session with school opt-outs, and it was stated on this floor, you know, this was actually a proposal that came up. And we already had a bill drafted for that at that time and everything. So, you know, maybe that wasn't the idea for some people at the time. This is another option to help the public out. I hear a lot about the local governments, and those are important with deadlines and everything like that. But again, all we're asking is for 10 more days for the public, the taxpayers, our bosses. Give them a little more time to get out and get some signatures. So I hope you can support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no further remarks, the question before the House is final passage of House Bill 1323. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed, nay. The clerk will unlock the voting machine and the members will proceed to vote.
Mr. Speaker, all members have voted.
The clerk will please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there are ayes 39, nays 28, excused 3.
House Bill 1323, having received the affirmative vote of the majority of members elect, is hereby declared passed. Are there any questions on the title? Seeing none, the title is deemed correct.
House Bill 1299, an act to permit the use of biological filtration systems in water recreational facilities located in certain lodging establishments.
House Bill 1299, having had its second reading, is up for consideration and final passage. Are there any remarks? Representative Uri Balk.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Happy Friday, everyone. As I start to talk about pools, I don't want your mind to wander to warm, sunny days, vacation, blue skies, or anywhere else, but right here, focused on House Bill 1299. Seriously, this is a modest, carefully structured bill that allows innovation while maintaining public health standards. Under current South Dakota law, public pools and water recreational facilities, including those at hotels and lodging facility establishments, must meet minimum public health safety standards established by the Department of Health. In practice, that framework assumes continuous chemical disinfectant systems, routine testing, inspections, and compliance with construction and operational rules. House Bill 1299 does not remove those requirements. It creates a narrowly tailored pathway for small lodging establishments, those with 15 or fewer sleeping rooms, to apply for an annual permit to use a biological filtration system in their water recreational facility. So why bring this bill, you might be asking. First, there's a growing market demand for alternatives to traditional chlorine pools. We are seeing an increasing number of guests with chemical sensitivities. Families who experience skin irritation or respiratory discomfort, or who simply prefer to limit chemical exposure. Secondly, many small locally owned lodges, especially in tourism-centered regions like the Black Hills, want to offer innovative, nature-forward amenities that align with outdoor recreation and sustainable values. This gives them a way to differentiate themselves in a competitive tourism market. And to be clear, these systems are not experimental. Natural swimming pools have been in operation internationally since 1980, and the first public natural pool in North America opened in 2015. Hundreds of installations now operate under established engineering and operational standards. Biological filtration systems use natural processes, plants, beneficial bacteria, and microbes to filter water through rather than relying on continuous chemical disinfectant residuals. These are engineered seared systems and not just decorative ponds. They separate the swimming zone from the biological filtration zone and must comply with applicable building and safety regulations. So monitoring does not go away. Testing still occurs. Facilities monitor indicators such as pH, nutrient levels, and bacteria markers. The focus shifts from maintaining a chemical residual to maintaining overall water health. So in committee, it was asked what would happen if a contamination occurs. The facility must close and meet department-established thresholds before opening. This is the same expectation we have had for any public pool incident, because no filtration system, chemical or biological, changes the fact that kids will be kids. Safety remains the standard. That being said, there's also no opposition in committee, and it passed through with a 10 yeas and a 1 no vote. But let's briefly walk through the bill. It allows, again, qualifying small lodging establishments with 15 rooms or less to apply for a 1-year permit from the Department of Health. The facility must meet all existing minimum public health and safety requirements. Applicants must submit documentation demonstrating how the proposed system will meet department-established water outcomes, and the system must be inspected annually. If a facility fails inspection, the permit is revoked, and the establishment may not reapply for 1 year. The department is directed to promulgate rules governing application requirements, maintenance standards, water quality testing procedures, and a permit fee capped at $50. This bill does not eliminate standards. It creates a regulatory pathway for a different technology, one that's engineered, sealed, annually inspected, and required to meet department-established outcomes. Again, colleagues, this is not about turning hotel pools into backyard ponds. It is about allowing small businesses under department oversight to use an internationally recognized system that reduces reliance on chemical inputs while maintaining safety. It is a small step, it is measured, and it supports both public health, sustainability, and our tourism economy. I respectfully ask for your green vote on House Bill 1299.
Thank you. Further remarks on House Bill 1299. Representative Vandera.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I have a friend who used this type of system, and it was amazing. So, for the good representative at the West, amazing bill, vote green.
Thank you. Further remarks on House Bill 1299. Representative Rice.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And well, you might not know this about me, but I used to clean swimming pools. I grew up with my father, and that's what he did for a living. He built them and cleaned them, and but I had also 5 brothers, so they got to do it more often. But I've seen these systems in other states, and they're amazing. It's amazing to swim in this kind of water. and without the chlorine on your skin. This is a great bill, and I hope you guys vote green. Thank you.
Thank you. Further remarks on House Bill 1299, Representative Greenfield.
Question for the sponsor, please.
State your question.
Do you have a business of selling filtration systems?
Representative Uribalk, do you wish to answer that question?
I will. No, I do not, but I am looking forward to swimming in said pool.
I
Representative
think
Greenfield.
this sounds like a good bill. I vote green.
Thank you. Thanks for staying on top of those conflicts of interest. Further remarks on House Bill 1299? Any further remarks? Anything in closing? Seeing no further remarks, the question before the House is final passage of House Bill 1299. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed, nay. The clerk will unlock the voting machine, and the members will proceed to vote. Due to the new fee that is deposited into the State General Fund, House Bill 1299 does require a 2/3 vote.
Whitman votes aye. Mr. Speaker, all members have voted.
The clerk will please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there are ayes 66, nays 1, excused 3.
House Bill 1299, having received the affirmative vote of 2/3 of the members elect, is hereby declared passed. Any questions on the title? Seeing none, the title is deemed correct.
House Bill 1163, an act to prohibit certain persons from requiring genetic-based vaccinations.
House Bill 1163, having had its second reading, is up for consideration and final passage. Are there any remarks? Representative Vandera.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Representatives, I bring to you HB 1163. This bill specifically provides protections for certain groups of citizens in the state from retaliation or other adverse action where they elect to forego a genetic-based vaccine. Penalties have also been included in this bill for those in violation to not exceed $10,000 per occurrence. There are specific carve-outs in the bill to include a community mental health center, community services provider, support provider, healthcare facility, intermediate care facility, vaccinations required for admission to school or an early childhood program, required by clinical placement location, if the clinical placement location is required for continued enrollment, court-ordered genetic-based vaccinations, and the South Dakota National Guard. This bill does not prohibit other alternatives that may be offered to the individual who elects to forego a genetic-based vaccine, such as PPE requirements, working off-site, transfer to other locations where applicable, or other vaccine alternatives to a genetic-based vaccine. For example, a protein-based vaccination for COVID just became available in 2026 and is called Novavax. While we are not in a situation as dire as where we were with COVID in 2020, the event itself taught us some significant lessons. Sometimes technology needs to be used with great caution. As many of you know, science is not an overnight thing. It takes time to gather information regarding safety and efficacy. We are almost 6 years out of this event, and many South Dakotans have made themselves heard. Not again. And I am sure if you got the same emails I got, several South Dakotans have made their voices known. I think I had about 60 emails to support this bill. Data surfaces every day. Research scientists at Tufts University, medical journals, and professionals across the world are saying, wait a minute, let's take a look at the new data. Studies coming out now publicly that were silenced in the past are getting airtime. Genetic-based vaccines may not be the answer for all. And now one of the latest studies from Cleveland Clinic comes out. A study found infection risk rising in a linear fashion with each successive mRNA dose, while unvaccinated employees with prior exposure showed no reinfections over 5 months. This is called the hybrid harms hypothesis and states that prolonged and repeated spike antigenic exposures via mRNA vaccination may interact with either previous or subsequent coronavirus infection producing adverse effects. Let's vote to protect South Dakotans from ever being forced or penalized for choosing to forego a genetic-based vaccine. To note, I did have a conversation with a couple of the industry representatives, and they did state that they would work with me on potential amendments if this passes the floor and moves towards the Senate. Regardless of how you vote, the concern of the citizens has reached the House floor. I, as well as the people of South Dakota, appreciate this respectful discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Further remarks on House Bill 1163? Any further remarks? Seeing no further remarks, the question before the House is final passage of House Bill 1163. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed, nay. The clerk will unlock the voting machine and the members will proceed to vote.
Soy votes aye. Representative DeGroot. DeGroot votes no. Mr. Speaker, all members have voted.
Clerk will please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there were ayes 32, nays 35, excused 3.
House Bill 1163, having failed to receive the affirmative vote of the majority of members elect, is hereby declared lost.
House Bill 1210, an act to prohibit COVID-19 vaccination requirements and to provide a penalty therefor.
House Bill 1210, having had its second reading, is up for consideration and final passage. Are there any remarks? Representative Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, esteemed body, those listening, present, and online. House Bill 1210 restricts the ability of government and private actors to compel a specific medical intervention as condition of participation in civil life. House Bill 1210 establishes a categorical prohibition against COVID-19 vaccination, mandates tied to employment, education, access to services and benefits. It applies broadly to state agencies and political subdivisions, but also to private employers and educational institutions. It creates criminal liability for violations through a Class II misdemeanor. Under the 10th Amendment, states retain police powers relating to public health. However, that authority is not unlimited. Compelled medical procedures raise serious liberty concerns under the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment. This bill places a statutory guardrail against compulsory vaccination requirements tied to economic participation. The structural effect is to limit the conditions under which government and employers may condition access to work, education, and benefits. It removes a tool of compulsion and replaces it with a criminal prohibition on a mandate enforcement. When government loses the power to compel a medical procedure as a condition of participation in society, individual liberty is strengthened. House Bill 1210 aligns with the South Dakota Republican Party platform of medical freedom. Vote green. Thank you.
Thank you. Further remarks on House Bill 1210? Any further remarks? Seeing no further remarks, the question before the House is final passage of House Bill 1210. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed, nay. The clerk will unlock the voting machine and the members will proceed to vote.
Mr. Speaker, all members have voted.
Clerk will please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there are ayes 32, nays 35, excused 3.
House Bill 1210, having failed to receive the affirmative vote of the majority of members elect, is hereby declared lost. Second reading of Senate bills.
Senate Bill 20, an act to make an appropriation for tax refunds for elderly persons and persons with a disability and to declare an emergency.
Senate Bill 20, having had its second reading, is up for consideration and final passage. Are there any remarks? Representative Colbeck.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members of the body. Today I'm bringing you Senate Bill 20. This is an act to make an appropriation for tax refunds for elderly persons with a disability and to declare an emergency. This bill provides the annual appropriations for sales and property tax refunds for elderly and disabled South Dakotans and declares an emergency for immediate implementation. The department has provided this tax relief to our senior citizens and to our citizens who have disabilities since 1974. An applicant must have been 65 years of age or older for the full year for which the refund is claimed or have been declared disabled under Social Security or Veterans Administrative Guidelines to be eligible for this program. Income must be within the program limits. The current income limits are single family or single person $16,566, or a household of family $22,484. This is a companion bill to Senate Bill 21, which passed the Senate, which seeks to revise the administration of the program. The updates income eligibility to the following, which are maintained at 100% of the federal poverty level. Single-member family household, $17,215. Multi-member household, $23,265. There's an appropriation to this bill of $425,000 this year. Just to give you some history, in 22, House Bill 1014, with an average income or the income level for a single $13,653, family $18,465. We had 1,072 applicants. They each received an average of $305.69 for a total of $327,700 paid out to those disabled and citizens on property tax relief as well as sales tax. In 25, we had 1,054. So our level of people applying has been stable or gone down just slightly since 22. But the amount of money that we put out was $357,679,000 in 25 versus what I told you earlier in 2022. This program, like I said, has been going on since 1974, and here's a way for us to help out our disabled and also our elderly people with some property tax and to refile back for some sales tax relief. I ask for your favorable support. Thank you.
Thank you. Further remarks on Senate Bill 20? Any further remarks? Seeing no further remarks, the question before the House is final passage of Senate Bill 20. Due to the appropriation and emergency clause, Senate Bill 20 will require a 2/3 vote. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed, nay. The clerk will unlock the voting machine and the members will proceed to vote.
Van Diepen votes aye. Ismay votes no. Mr. Speaker, all members have voted.
Clerk will please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there are ayes 59, nays 8, excused 3.
Senate Bill 20, having received the affirmative vote of 2/3 of the members elect. Manhart votes aye. Schaefer-Bauer votes aye. Alk votes aye.
Schaefbauer votes aye.
Manhart votes aye.
Manhart votes aye.
Baxter votes aye.
Baxter votes aye.
Goodwin votes aye.
Goodwin votes aye.
Last call.
You've already.
Ismay votes aye.
Mr. Speaker, there are ayes 65, nays 2, excused 3. Mr. Speaker, there are ayes 65, nays 2, excused 3.
Senate Bill 20, having received the affirmative vote of 2/3 of the members elect, is hereby declared passed. Any questions on the title? Seeing none, the title is deemed correct.
Senate Bill 55, an act to make an appropriation for the payment of extraordinary litigation expenses and to declare an emergency.
Senate Bill 55, having had its second reading, is up for consideration and final passage. Are there any remarks? Representative Northrup.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The extraordinary litigation fund is a backfill. Basically, we have approximately 14,000 employees, and we are involved in a lot of things like voter rights and just carbon pipelines and all kinds of different things. And as our Attorney General defends the state of South Dakota, some of the expenditures fall into extraordinary, and those go into a backfill bucket, and we're here to backfill that bucket. Basically, what we're asking for is $650,000 to pay bills that we've already ran up. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Further remarks on Senate Bill 55? Any further remarks? Seeing no further remarks, question before the House is final passage of Senate Bill 55. Due to the appropriation and emergency clause, Senate Bill 55 does require a 2/3 vote. All those in favor vote yea. Those opposed, nay. The clerk will unlock the voting machine and the members will proceed to vote.
Representative Andera, Representative Sismowski, Representative. Mr. Speaker, all members have voted.
Clerk will please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there are ayes 62, nays 5, excused 3.
Senate Bill 55, having received the affirmative vote of 2/3 of the members elect, is hereby declared passed. Any questions on the title? Seeing none, the title is deemed correct.
Senate Bill 116, an act to make an appropriation for the design and construction of an indoor athletics facility at Dakota State University and to declare an emergency.
Senate Bill 116, having had its second reading, is up for consideration and final passage. Are there any remarks? Representative Northrup.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Basically, the title says it all. We're building an athletic facility at Dakota State. It's going to cost $13.3 million. It's 100% donated money. There's zero taxpayers' money in this project. And not only that, the maintenance and repairs is planned for and will not come from the taxpayers. The only constructive criticism I would have or temptation I would have is to do an amendment, possibly a voice amendment where we amend out Dakota State and we amend in Northern State. Thank you, Mr. Apparently the body will not support that. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Further remarks on Senate Bill 116. Representative Reich.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well,
Try harder. Try harder. Vote green.
Okay. Further remarks on Senate Bill 116? Any further remarks? Seeing no further remarks, the question before the House is final passage of Senate Bill 116. Due to the appropriation and emergency clause, Senate Bill 116 will require 2/3 vote. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed, nay. The clerk will unlock the voting machine, and the members will proceed to vote.
Representative Yuri Bulk. Mr. Speaker, all members have voted.
Clerk will please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there are ayes 56, nays 11, excused 3.
Senate Bill 116, having received the affirmative vote of 2/3 of the members elect, is hereby declared passed. Any questions on the title? Seeing none, the title is deemed correct.
Senate Bill 129, an act to update references in certain statutes to the 2024 standard building codes.
Senate Bill 129, having had its second reading, is up for consideration and final passage. Are there any remarks? Representative Roby.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill deals with updating our references to the International Building Code, International Property Maintenance Code, and International Residential Code. Currently, the referenced year of those three codes in our statute is 2021. This bill would update those references to 2024. The updates come following a work group. I think it was 2022, the legislature passed a statute requiring a group to come together every 3 or 4 years, I believe, and look at the new additions of building codes with the understanding that we wouldn't be adding new additions in law until those, until that work group is met. The work group consists of members of the industry, of local governments, of state government folks. And so that work group has met, delivered a report last fall. And so this bill is coming forward with their blessing to update the references to 2024. I would just note that, communities that adopt the 2024 building code are free to do so with any amendments, deletions, or revisions as they so desire. It just must be based on the 2024 code. So I'd urge your green vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Further remarks on Senate Bill 129? Any further remarks? Seeing no further remarks, the question before the House is final passage of Senate Bill 129. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed, nay. The clerk will unlock the voting machine, and the members will proceed to vote.
Odenbach votes aye. Mr. Speaker, all members have voted.
Clerk will please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there are ayes 64, nays 3, excused 3.
Senate Bill 129, having received the affirmative vote of the majority of members elect, is hereby declared passed. Any questions on the title? Seeing none, the title is deemed correct.
Senate Bill 3, an act to limit the types of residential improvements for which counties, municipalities, and townships may require a permit.
Senate Bill 3, having had its second reading, is up for consideration and final passage. Are there any remarks? Representative Overweg.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I bring you Senate Bill 3. I really should, this is quite the American bill. I should probably whistle Yankee Doodle Dandy while I read this, or let the good representative from Hughes County pitch it because he did such a great job in caucus. I should just sit down, but this is a good bill. This is a freedom bill. What this does is it just loosens things up a little bit. If you're not changing the structure of your house in any way, you do not have to go get a permit to change a door, to change a window, to put rain gutters on, or just do simple fixes in your house. This does not include the roof. The roof was amended out in committee, and that was fine with a good senator that brought this bill. But this is just a real freedom bill, so I appreciate your green vote.
Thank you. Further remarks on Senate Bill 3? Any further remarks? Representative Colbeck.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've got a question for the sponsor.
State your question.
If not all, but some municipals, when you do some remodeling, whether it's just cosmetic or you put something on the house, you get a building permit. That building permit gives you permission to take that material that you don't want anymore. They give you permission to take that to the dump site and dump it for nothing. So would this particular bill continue that process, or would you have to pay for your dump site?
Representative Overweg. Do you wish to answer that question?
I sure do. Well, if you read the bill, it says nothing about that, so I doubt if it's been changed.
Further remarks on Senate Bill 3? Seeing no further remarks, the question before the House is final passage of Senate Bill 3. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed, nay. The clerk will unlock the voting machine. The members will proceed to vote.
Fitzgerald votes aye. Representative Poyer. Representative Randolph. Representative Sharda. Mr. Speaker, all members have voted.
Clerk will please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there were ayes 64, nays 3, excused 3.
Senate Bill 3, having received the affirmative vote of the majority of members elect, is hereby declared passed. Any questions on the title? Seeing none, the title is deemed correct.
Senate Bill 72, an act to extend the time for reverting monies appropriated for the modernization of the state's enterprise resource planning systems.
Senate Bill 72, having had its second reading, is up for consideration and final passage. Are there any remarks? Representative Northrup.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We're currently engaged in Bison, which is a massive modernization of the state accounting system. And basically, it doesn't change the budget. What this bill does is it gives them additional time to finalize, to finish the training, to make sure everything is rock solid. And I would encourage a yes vote to extend the time as to when they can expend the money. That is a update of the accounting system. And with that, I would let the record note this is my third bill today, and the total number of minutes is probably 5 minutes on 3 bills, Mr. Speaker.
Well, we appreciate that. Thank you. Okay. I'll allow the applause on that one. Further remarks on Senate Bill 72? Any further remarks? Seeing no further remarks, the question before the House is final passage of Senate Bill 72. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed, nay. The clerk will unlock the voting machine, and the members will proceed to vote.
Rayfeld votes aye. Representative Roby. Mr. Speaker, all members have voted.
Clerk will please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there are ayes 55, nays 12, excused 3.
Senate Bill 72, having received the affirmative vote of the majority of members elect, is hereby declared passed. Any questions on the title? Seeing none, the title is deemed correct.
Senate Bill 75, an act to amend the type of entities eligible to participate in the Cybersecurity Services Initiative.
Senate Bill 75, having had its second reading, is up for consideration and final passage. Are there any remarks? Representative Jorgensen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is an act that basically expands the type of entities eligible to participate in the Cybersecurity Services Initiative. It broadens the support from Dakota State University for cybersecurity for rural water systems and sanitary sewer districts. There's no additional funding being requested. Of the original $7 million appropriated, there's still about $5.8 million remaining. This basically ensures good fiscal governance and the standardization of cybersecurity defense across the state. Vote green. Thank you.
Thank you. Further remarks on Senate Bill 75? Any further remarks? Seeing no further remarks, the question before the House is final passage of Senate Bill 75. Due to the appropriation, Senate Bill 75 does require a 2/3 vote. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed, nay. The clerk will unlock the voting machine, and the members will proceed to vote.
Peterson votes aye. Rayfeld votes aye. Representative Hughes, Representative Mortensen. Mortensen votes aye. Mr. Speaker, all members have voted.
The clerk will please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there are ayes 61, nays 6, excused 3.
Senate Bill 75, having received the affirmative vote of 2/3 of the members-elect, is hereby declared passed. Any questions on the title? Seeing none, the title is deemed correct.
Senate Bill 165, an act to revise certain provisions pertaining to municipal government.
Senate Bill 165, having had its second reading, is up for consideration and final passage. Are there any remarks? Representative Roby.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is the third year of a multi-year process that several municipal officials, there's a group that's been convened of city attorneys, other officials that are going through section by section of Title IX to update it, modernize it. Essentially, you know, a lot of these codes haven't been updated since 1939, I believe, was the last time for many of them. So really, the intention is not to be substantive. I would argue the most substantive piece in here, it moves from $5,000 to $10,000, the amount that somebody can receive as a kind of a volunteer for their city, you know, a part-time volunteer in snow removal, that sort of thing, and also serve in an elected position. You know, folks that are moving snow for the city, but also want to be mayor in some of our smaller communities. So again, it's intended to be a cleanup, third year of this multi-year process to clean up the Title IX of our municipal code. Thanks.
Thank you. Further remarks on Senate Bill 165? Are there any further remarks? Seeing no further remarks, the question before the House is final passage of Senate Bill 165. All those in favor will vote yea. Those opposed, nay. The clerk will unlock the voting machine, and the members will proceed to vote.
Representative Sosmowski. Representative Peterson. Mr. Speaker, all members have voted.
The clerk will please display the vote.
Mr. Speaker, there are ayes 50, nays 17, excused 3.
Senate Bill 165, having received the affirmative vote of the majority of members-elect, is hereby declared passed. Any questions on the title? Seeing none, the title is deemed correct. There being no objection, the House will now revert to order of business number 5, reports of standing committees.
Mr. Speaker, the Committee on House, Health, and Human Services reports that House Bill 1160 returns without recommendation. Respectfully submitted, Brian Mulder, Chair.
The Constitution requires the Speaker to sign bills in open session, and so the Speaker is signing House Bill 1018, an act to amend the reversion date for monies appropriated to the Department of Education to improve and renovate the Cultural Heritage Center. The Speaker is signing House Bill 1227, an act to increase the annual fee required of an owner of an electric motor vehicle. Announcements. Representative Greenfield.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know it will sadden everyone, but there won't be any House education on Monday.
Oh, no. Representative Derby.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Committee on Appropriations will meet at 9 o'clock on Monday. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Odenbach.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House State Affairs meets Monday morning in 414 at 7:45 to consider 6 bills.
Representative Lems.
House Commerce and Energy will meet on Monday, room 464 at 10 o'clock. We will have 2 bills.
Further announcements. Representative Baumüller.
Mr. Speaker, I move we adjourn.
All those in favor of adjournment will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. No. We are adjourned. Have a good weekend. adjourned.